This Fox News exclusive, you have to see this up close. A look at the crisis at the border and the Rio Grande Valley. This comes as the Trump administration battles illegal immigration and Democratic pushback. Griff Jenkins is live for us in McAllen, Texas, seeing firsthand how difficult the job has become for border agents. Good morning, Griff.
Good morning, Heather, and boy, is it a tough job. You know, there's a perception that all of these Central American migrant families are surrendering to Border Patrol, and many are. More than 180 did to our cameras yesterday, but sometimes they don't want to be caught, and capturing them can be a tough job. Watch this. It's unbelievably difficult terrain. I'm cut, my gloves torn. These men rushing through here, and we found a group. This is the first one we found, just nothing but thorns, bushes, bugs, snakes, spiders. This is the spotlight you can see that's being put. There they are. They've got two more.
Both of them actually tried to run. This one right here was hiding underneath this brush to my left, and this one right here got up from the brush and took off running southbound, but I was able to get him before he got away.
This is the brush underneath here, right where I am, where the last illegal crosser was laid down, and Herman had to crawl in like this and go through these bushes and thorns. It's just treacherous. And Heather, the 8 of the 11 in those bushes were captured. They expect today's numbers to be around 1,000. They've had 12 straight days of 1,000+ apprehensions, and that is really the crisis that they are seeing here. And they are undermanned because so many of the agents are pulled off the front line to do the processing. We went into the processing center where they are maxed out. They can hold about 3,300. They have upwards of 6,000 there now. They do not expect that to change anytime soon because they can't process faster than they are getting inundated with crossers. Meanwhile, right behind me, just steps behind me, the border in McAllen, Texas, fears amongst Texans that it could be closed. The president saying that if Mexico doesn't do more to stop this surge, he will close this border. Senator Ted Cruz, a Republican, issuing this statement saying the answer is not to punish those who are legally crossing the border. The answer is not to punish Texas farmers and ranchers and manufacturers and small businesses. Closing legal points of entry would harm American commerce and legal transit between Mexico and the United States. And just another note, of course, DHS Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen making a trip today to Arizona to see firsthand how her resources will be reallocated. Heather?
Griff, unbelievable footage that you brought us this morning. Thank you so much. And we're glad that you're okay and everybody else out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Griff has done a great job covering that from the border for us throughout. Well, the alleged shooter in the Christchurch terror attack will be charged with 50 counts of murder. He's accused of gunning down dozens of people at 2 mosques in New Zealand last month. It was the worst mass shooting in the country's history. The self-proclaimed white supremacist will also face 39 counts of attempted murder when he appears in court tomorrow. The judge refuses to allow any video or pictures to be taken of the hearing as to not sway potential jurors' opinions before a trial begins. 4 adults living at a filthy compound where a dead toddler was found will not face the death penalty. 2 men and 2 women are charged with kidnapping the boy in Georgia and bringing him to New Mexico, where they refused to treat his seizures. The boy's father and the 4 other suspects are also facing terrorism charges. They're accused of plotting attacks on police officers and government workers. They go on trial next year. Well, Maine State Police mourning the loss of a trooper killed in the line of duty. Detective Ben Campbell was helping a stranded driver when a wheel flew off a truck and killed him. Hundreds of first responders paying respects as his body passed by.
When I say he was one of our best, he always saw the good in whatever was going on.
Well, Campbell joined the department in 2012. He leaves behind a wife and 6-month-old son. Campbell is the 30th officer killed in the line of duty this year. And this is a remarkable story, if true. A teenager tells police that he's a kidnapped boy who's been missing for 7 years. Officials are reportedly waiting on DNA tests to determine if the child is 14-year-old Timothy Pitson. He claims that he escaped from kidnappers at a Cincinnati hotel and then ran to nearby Kentucky for help. Timothy's family is optimistic.
Cautiously hopeful. very cautiously hopeful. And if it turns out to be him, we'll be thrilled.
Well, Timothy was last seen at a Wisconsin water park with his mother in 2011. She later killed herself, leaving behind a note saying her son was with people who would care for him, but that he would never be found. Police now looking for two men in a Ford SUV with Wisconsin plates. That would be remarkable. We'll continue to follow that today for sure. Well, President Trump's personal attorney is slamming the justice system after the House issues a subpoena for the full Mueller report. Rudy Giuliani also firing back at what he calls, quote, sneaky, unethical leakers. Leland Vittert is live for us in Washington with more on the brewing fight on Capitol Hill. Good morning, Leland.
Well, good morning, Heather. The president and the president's attorney have certainly said a lot to say about the leakers, and this is the latest leaked report in the New York Times. From this, people close to the Mueller investigation that the New York Times is quoting, the officials and others interviewed declined to flesh out why some of the special counsel's investigators viewed their findings as potentially more damaging for the president than Mr. Barr explained, meaning in his letter to Congress, although the report is believed to examine Mr. Trump's efforts to thwart the investigation. Rudy Giuliani hitting back.
Let me just give you one overview of obstruction. How could there be obstruction when Mueller completed his investigation and nobody obstructed it? What, did somebody think about obstruction? That's not a crime.
Well, now the president's lawyer, obviously Rudy Giuliani, denying that. The Democrats on Capitol Hill say they want the entire Mueller report presented to them unredacted.
We need these materials to fulfill our constitutional obligations. Our chief constitutional obligation is to hold the president accountable, especially in an instance where the Department of Justice says it cannot hold the president accountable. Those judgments must be made by Congress, not by a political appointee, the Attorney General.
The Judiciary Chair, Jerry Nadler, wants the Attorney General of the United States to release grand jury material. That's where we're at, because they are so focused on getting the president, forget about the law that they helped change, forget about the rule of law and how things are supposed to happen. They're all about getting the president.
Well, get ready for a lot more speculation and spin over the next couple of weeks. Heather, as you know, the Attorney General says it could be until then before he presents to Congress the Mueller report in a version that he is comfortable with, and then the fight begins over whatever redactions he has made.
Yeah, and I understand Nadler was facing some pushback yesterday because this is the opposite of what he said in terms of the Ken Starr report.
History does have an interesting way of coming back to you on Capitol Hill.
It does. All right. Thank you so much, Leland. You've been there long enough to know that for sure. Thank you. Well, Congressman Tim Ryan expected to announce today that he is running for president. Sources tell Fox News that the Ohio Democrat will reveal his plans on The View before an official launch this weekend. Ryan is seen as a political moderate with appeal to blue-collar voters. In 2016, he challenged Nancy Pelosi for Speaker of the House. He would join more than a dozen other Democratic contenders so far. Well, he hasn't made a decision on 2020 yet, but tonight Howard Schultz will be featured in an exclusive Fox News town hall. The former Starbucks CEO will share his vision of America, and you can watch the event live from Kansas City at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then 2020 hopeful Bernie Sanders will also speak at a Fox News town hall. That happens on April 15th in Pennsylvania. Brett Baer and Martha McCallum will moderate both of those events. Well, another person considering a 2020 run is Stacey Abrams, but the Democrat still refuses to concede Georgia's gubernatorial race, despite losing 5 months ago.
Concession means to say something is right and true. You can't shame me into pretending that what happened should have happened. And so in response to what I believe was a stolen election, and I'm not saying they stole it from me, they stole it from the voters of Georgia.
Well, Abrams lost to Republican Brian Kemp. It is deadline day for Jussie Smollett to pay back Chicago. Mayor Rahm Emanuel billed the Empire actor $130,000 for the cost of the police investigation last week. The mayor and police both say he staged a hate crime and wasted valuable resources. The payment demand was sent after prosecutors dropped all criminal charges. If he doesn't pay, the city could sue him. Well, the time now is about 11 minutes after the top of the hour, and Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen heading to the Arizona border today, where agents are so overwhelmed they're releasing families into the streets. Now, former Tucson police officer Brandon Tatum has seen the crisis firsthand, why he says it's time for everyone to take this threat seriously when he joins us live. And hear ye, royal record breaker for Harry and Meghan. How they just turned social media upside down. Back, you're watching Fox and Friends First. A Fox News alert for you. Taking the border crisis head on. DHS Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen in Arizona today to meet with Border Patrol agents about handling the surge of migrants. But how do Americans in these communities want President Trump to handle the crisis? Brandon Tatum is a former Tucson, Arizona police officer, and he joins me now with more. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We certainly appreciate it.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, going to be a busy day down there in Arizona. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to see yet the video that Griff Jenkins has brought into Fox News. He's there at the border in the Rio Grande Valley, and, you know, we see him crawling through the bush. The number of migrants, the actual type of migrants that are crossing the border illegally has just escalated in the past couple of weeks. What, in your opinion, I mean, you're there, you've been there on the border before, what is causing this escalation in violence and arrest that is happening right now just the past couple of weeks?
I believe it has a lot to do with the sanctuary state of California and the rhetoric that's coming from the Democratic Party. They're actually welcoming these people and almost promising them refuge here and decriminalizing their actions of coming over here illegally. And so I think that's stimulating the rumors and the propaganda that's pushing them to come through our southern border at all costs. And it's shameful. And it is an emergency. I don't care what any politician says.
So what needs to happen? What do people there at the border want to see happen? We've heard the president talk about, you know, sending military troops to the border, you know, closing the border down altogether. What do people who are there and experiencing this want to see?
They want to be protected. They want to feel safe. They don't want their houses to be overrun. They don't want the escalation of violence and the destroying of their communities. So whatever the president has to do, whatever our country is deciding to do, which I think we're going to go in the right direction with it, I believe that the citizens down there want it to happen. If it's closing the border, I believe that most people are in favor of that if it's going to help us deter crime and all of the negative things that are coming with this illegal immigration.
You know, do you think that threat to close the border is actually perhaps causing this escalation, people making this mad dash to try to make it into the country before that happens?
I don't have the evidence to say that that's true, but just using common sense, I could understand that that could be a contributing factor. I mean, they want to get to the border before he actually closed the border, but I don't think that that's the leading factor in them coming over here. I think that they feel, and I'm telling you, people do this all the time. They are relaying messages back to individuals who are still in Mexico or coming from some of these countries in the South. They're relaying messages to them. If they can just make it over here and make it to states like California, everything is going to be okay, which is a myth, by the way. But I think that's what's that's the rhetoric that's being pushed to them, causing them to want to come over here even more aggressively.
And we've seen video of that. Obviously, they cross the border. As soon as they cross over, they want to get caught. One of those reasons being, you keep mentioning California, the AG there saying that illegal immigration should be decriminalized. So how concerning is this when it comes from top officials in the state? We also have Democratic candidates, at least two so far, saying that as well they want to decriminalize illegal immigration.
Well, I think Californians should be outraged that someone in such a high position will hurt the people of California. I don't understand how people don't get this. California has 1/4 of the Americans' homelessness in the country. I will never forget this. Me and a couple of my friends were in California. We were at a diner, and literally I had tears in my eyes as I saw a black man come into the restaurant begging us for food. I mean, it was like we're in a third world country. California can't even take care of their own citizens. What make them think that they're going to be able to handle tens of thousands of people coming in to their state, where they're going to live, what resources they're going to be provided for them? They're going to literally trump and step over people that are already in the country that are not getting resources. It is shameful. And I often wonder, are these politicians just that out of touch with reality, or they're evil? One of the two things have to be apparent here, because there's a crisis at the border. Even the illegal people that are coming over here, it's not safe for them to be here. They don't have Social Security cards. They can't get adequate work. They don't have space. It's terrible all the way around. Yeah. And I wish that they would step up and do what's right for the country and stop being fake politicians.
Brandon, I'm going to leave it right there because you said it well. Thank you so much for joining us. You're certainly fired up, and rightfully so this morning. So we'll see what happens moving forward, because something has to be done for sure. Thank you. I
agree. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Well, the time now is about 20 minutes after the top of the hour. Mark Zuckerberg claims Facebook is prioritizing your privacy. Such for millions of users just get exposed. The brand new report that will make you think twice about getting your Facebook fixed today. Back with the Fox News or business alert for you. Hundreds of millions of Facebook records are exposed on Amazon cloud servers. This comes after the social media giant was caught asking users to share personal passwords. Jillian Turner has the story.
Facebook caught red-handed asking its users to share their personal email passwords with the platform.
Somebody has to be going upstairs in Mark Zuckerberg's office going, who the heck authorized this? And it just reinforces the notion that Facebook really doesn't care about your privacy.
Users logging on were interrupted by a prompt asking for the email password associated with their Facebook profile. Users like eSushi described the experience as an extra step to log on. Facebook claims the password prompt was a simple security measure, part of a process they call two-step authentication, and insists, quote, these passwords are not stored. But just last month, the company did admit to storing hundreds of millions of user passwords insecurely. In an email to Fox News, Facebook deflected blame, saying users have other options.
In this case, to figure out the other ways would have required the eyesight of a falcon and be able to discern what all the small print was down at the bottom, because it was not easily accessible for the average user.
Facebook is recalibrating, writing, we understand the password verification option isn't the best way to go about this, so we're going to stop offering it. Experts remind people that legitimate companies usually steer well clear of asking users for their passwords, and for good reason. This also comes just a few months after Facebook was exposed sharing its users' phone numbers with advertisers. In Washington, Jillian Turner, Fox News.
So you've been warned. Well, 6 states and the District of Columbia are suing the Trump administration over rollbacks to the Obama-era school lunch program. Now, the new rules weakened requirements for sodium and whole grains. The lawsuit claims the changes are illegal because the government didn't seek public opinion or give an explanation for them. Now, the rules were part of former First Lady Michelle Obama's Let's Move campaign. You remember that. The USDA is not commenting. Well, House Democrats demanding the IRS provide President Trump's personal and business tax returns. The president dismissing the request after learning they want documents from the past 6 years.
Is that all?
That's all.
Oh, usually it's 10, so I guess they're giving up. Now, we're under audit, despite what people said, and we're working that out.
Ways and Means Committee Chairman Richard Neal sending an official letter to the IRS, giving the agency until Wednesday to respond. Well, Joe Biden facing fresh backlash. 3 new women just came forward accusing him of inappropriate conduct.
Social norms have begun to change, they've shifted, and the boundaries of protecting personal space have been reset. And I get it. I get it.
Why some say all the material evidence from the special counsel's investigation into the alleged Russian meddling in the 2016 election. And the panel took action even after Attorney General William Barr told Congress that he intended to release the unredacted report later this month. And sources tell Fox News that Congressman Tim Ryan will announce he's running for president today. The Ohio Democrat is seen as a political moderate with appeal to blue-collar voters. He challenged Nancy Pelosi for Speaker of the House in 2016. So add another one to the list. Well, breaking overnight, 3 new women now accuse Joe Biden of inappropriate behavior. This comes just hours after the former vice president released a video confronting the allegations. Aisha Husney joins us live with the latest as Democrats remain divided. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, we are now at 7 women, and for some, they are all painting a cringeworthy picture of the former vice president, who is expected to make a 2020 run for the White House. The latest 3 women are Vail Conert-Yount, Sophie Karasik, and Allie Cole. They told the Washington Post about some uncomfortable run-ins with the former VP. So Karasik said Biden pressed his forehead against hers, making her feel pretty uncomfortable. And Conert-Yount also said the same thing, and she added that Biden also called her a pretty girl. And Cole said that he squeezed her shoulders, complimented her smile, and held her a little too long. This comes as the vice president just released a video in which he doesn't really apologize, but vows to be more mindful. Now, some of these women say it's not enough. Listen for yourself.
Now it's all about taking selfies together. Social norms have begun to change, they've shifted, and the boundaries of protecting personal space have been reset. And I get it.
I would like to think that perhaps this is a time of realization and self-awareness for Mr. Biden. Time will tell. But I think that no one should define another person's boundaries, period.
Okay, so Democrats remain divided over Biden's actions. 2020 hopeful Kamala Harris saying she believes the victims and actually commends them for coming forward. But DNC Chairman Tom Perez says the former VP simply needs to understand his warmth may be misinterpreted by some people. Heather?
Yeah, interesting also how the Obamas have been very silent on this, haven't said a word about it yet. All right, thank you so much. Well, Democratic leaders like Nancy Pelosi, another one, they're also struggling to respond to the latest allegations against Joe Biden, especially in light of their Brett Kavanaugh crusade. We all remember that. Well, commentator and author Heather McDonald says they're tiptoeing around the feminist who set the new standard for what's offensive.
We're all supposed to be for diversity, right? How about accepting the diversity of an older generation that has a different style of engagement, that has not been terrorized into frigid self-criticism by the feminist harpies that cannot understand that there are different human beings, there are different ways of relating to people. This is going to end normal human intercourse as we know it if they're allowed to get away with this. These females have all said there was nothing sexual about it. Okay, the conversation should end there. But the new standard now that feminists are setting is they determine by their subjective experience the character of experiences. There's no reasonable person standard. We're certainly not going to accept the male's view that, as Biden said, I had no intention to offend anybody. I was not intending anything sexual. None of that matters now. If a feminist feels offended, then the interaction is objectively offensive. And that is a recipe for chaos and alienation.
Well, prior to the allegations, Biden was widely rumored to join the crowded 2020 field as the front runner. Well, Virginia's lieutenant governor is trying to prove his innocence amid sexual assault allegations. Democrat Justin Fairfax calling on prosecutors in Massachusetts and North Carolina to investigate after 2 women accused him of sexual assault. Fairfax denies the allegations and is releasing polygraph tests that he passed to the media. And Senate Republicans are going nuclear. Lawmakers voting to cut debate time for Trump nominees from 30 hours to 2 hours. And the change does not apply to cabinet positions or federal judges. All Senate Democrats opposed the move, and they were joined by Republicans Susan Collins and Mike Lee. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says that this is necessary to prevent Democrat obstruction. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez calls a new FEC complaint bogus. The congresswoman and her then campaign manager are accused of creating political action committees to raise more cash than they could bring in legally. The complaint also claims that manager, who is now her chief of staff, offered cheaper consulting services to her and other Democrats. The first complaint, filed last month, accused the campaign of redirecting $885,000 in donations. Well, how about something fun? The Queen of Country is about to be the queen of the racetrack. Driver Tyler Reddick will speed off in the pink Chevy Camaro at a race this weekend in, of course, Dolly's home state of Tennessee. That's awesome. Love to see that. Well, the time now is about 20 minutes until the top of the hour, and President Trump putting the crisis at the border ahead of the economy.
But let me just give you a little secret. Security is more important to me than trade.
So what kind of message does that send to voters with 2020 on the horizon? Our voter panel is here to weigh in.
To me, trading is very important. The borders are very important. But security is what is most important to me. All you hear me talking about is trade. But let me just give you a little secret. Security is more important to me than trade. So we're going to have a strong border, or we're going to have a closed border.
Well, the president vowing to put the safety of Americans first, even if the economy takes a hit. But is that what America's voters want? Well, we invited a panel to weigh in. So joining us now is Leangela Pimentel-Dorillo and Aaron Comey and Breen McNally. Thank you all for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
So hearing directly from the voters and what they want. Leangela, I'll start with you. So what do you think? Is that something that you're in favor of?
Yes, absolutely. I do believe that one of the first priorities of the president is to defend our country.
Mm-hmm. And so, Aaron, what about you?
Well, I'm surprised that this is President Trump's take, considering how much the economy and business has meant to him. So, yeah, this really wasn't what I expected for him to, the position I expected him to take once he realized the effect this could have on the economy.
Breen?
Yes, I agree with the gentleman that just spoke. I did not, really see this coming, especially how he is so into the economy when so many people are telling him this isn't going to be good for the economy. But I guess, we could sometimes see, it's like, it seems as if it's a deflection to take away from the economy and to get people to focus more on the border.
One of those people who does question, the economics of it when it comes to specifically shutting down the border altogether was Ted Cruz. We have that statement from him about it where he said the answer is not to punish those who are legally crossing the border. The answer is not to punish Texas farmers and ranchers and manufacturers and small businesses. So he says, in his opinion, it would come at a cost in terms of the economy. So he's kind of tying both together, as you were just mentioning, Breen. Leangela, I'll go back to you. So you said that you do agree with the president in terms of protecting the country and border security being more important than the economy. Why?
Absolutely. Well, if you just look at what New York State legislation, the budget, they just voted this past week, $27 million just for free college for illegals. We are actually paying the bills. The majority, I do understand that there's a lot of people out there that want to come to America like I did. I'm from Brazil.
And you're a legal immigrant.
Yes, I am. I'm legal. I went through all the process. It was hard. It's not easy, but was worth it every step of the way. But they do know how to work the system. I heard from people that they say, well, if I have a child, the government will give me a check. So we are paying for them anyway. We do need, actually what we need, in my opinion, it's Congress to get to work and do what they're supposed to. We need an immigration reform here.
Yeah, Aaron, to you now, you consider yourself like a moderate when it comes to issues and political issues. So speaking of Congress and Congress needing to do some work, does this sway you one way or the other when it comes to Republicans or Democrats?
Well, no, I've seen failures on both sides, and I definitely agree that there needs to be some action taken to reform the immigration system. But one of the key points to realize is that if legal immigration is made easier, illegal immigration will go down. But there also needs to be drastic entitlements to entitlement programs, because taxpayers shouldn't have to carry a burden, an extra burden.
Well, fixing legal immigration is something that several administrations have been trying to deal with, and no one seems to have been able to do anything up until this point. So we're now at this point, Breen, where we have about over 53,000 border apprehensions on average per month. So what do you think we need to do in terms of, we have an election coming up, we have Democratic candidates coming forward with some of their solutions to the problem. We talked about it earlier, at least two of those now saying that we should decriminalize illegal immigration.
Yes, I think by decriminalizing it, it would actually work. But when you see a number of 53,000, to me, it seems as if the people on the border are doing their job. They are stopping the flow of illegal immigrants that would come to harm us or harm our economy. And I don't see a need to focus or shut that down, because you see, there's approximately, 1.2 billion people 1.2 million people that cross over legally a day that are helping our economy grow. I'm more concerned and I'm more afraid of, I live in Northeast Ohio in Youngstown, and on my way up to Cleveland this morning, I drive past Lordstown and I'm seeing, they closed, the trickle-down effect. There's these people.
So the economy is number one in your book. Okay.
And by seeing the economy collapses, when you see a lot more things tend to go negative.
Well, we appreciate all of you coming on so early this morning. That was great to hear from people out there, all across America who will be heading to the polls and making a difference in terms of who you vote for our leaders. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Yeah, have a great day. So is this federal court, or is it a red carpet? Fans fawning over actress Lori Loughlin as she faces a judge. So do they even care that she's accused of bribing and cheating to get her daughter into college? Carly Shimkus is here to share a reaction. Up next. Welcome back. Actress Lori Loughlin signing autographs to fans while on her way to court.
First movie I ever saw, and it's absolutely my favorite movie of all time. I'm glad that you brought you to this VHS. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But does that send the wrong message? Carly Shimkus with Fox News Headlines 24/7, SiriusXM 115 is here with the online reaction. So I was a little surprised to see that too.
Surreal sort of scene. Lori Loughlin signing autographs, heading into court. But clearly she does have her fans still, which is good for her. Kind of surprising because of all the backlash and fallout that has come from this.
I'm surprised she wasn't advised not to do that.
Well, she has been smiling throughout this whole process. Every single news article that is written talks about how she has this big warm smile. When she landed at Logan Airport, she signed autographs as well.
Right.
So her attitude has been a topic of conversation on social media. Charles says, celebrity trumps character in our broken culture. Cheryl tweets, we truly live in an upside down world. And Deb says, poor optics, poor judgment. I think that she's smiling as a way to show strength and, maybe some confidence that she didn't do anything wrong. She hasn't entered a plea yet. So we don't know if she's going to plead
psychology, like reverse psychology type of thing. And she's a mom of two girls. The two girls are going through a lot right now as well. So she has to hold together for them. So let's talk about this next event that's going on. The Clintons are on the speaking tour, and they're now being joined by Ben Stiller.
Yeah, so they're going to go on a speaking tour, and at certain stops around the country, a celebrity is going to join them. One of those celebrities, Ben Stiller, and he took to Twitter saying, I'm actually planning to do a deep dive on economic policy, health care, and obscure vice presidents. So please study up Hillary Clinton. Clinton. I think he's probably joking there. Here are some of the other celebrities that will be joining them at various times throughout their tour. Social media talking about this one. Joshua says they need people that can actually draw somewhat of a crowd. I don't know. I think that former President Bill Clinton can certainly draw a crowd. So can Hillary Clinton.
Bigger names than some of those we just showed.
And then another Twitter user says, still under the illusion that Hollywood swings votes.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, well, so let's talk about the Prince and Princess.
A little
Harry and Meghan.
breaking situation, right? So they joined Instagram this week, and they broke a Guinness Book of World Records, reaching 1 million followers in the shortest period of time. Guinness World Records says, congratulations to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, whose new Instagram account, Sussex Royal, reached 1 million followers in less than 6 hours. They even beat out the Pope.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So one Twitter user says, Sussex's slaying the Graham game. I love that tweet. And then another person on social media posted this meme in response. Oh,
wow.
Drop the mic,
I
baby.
like it. I like that.
Yeah, I just followed them. They're up to 3.3 million in just a couple days.
So Meghan was on it separately, and she shut down her Instagram page. Is that what happened?
Right, that's right.
Okay.
So you can't have your own account anymore.
Okay.
Usually you just have the Kensington Royal Instagram account, but they branched off. Breaking another rule.
Yeah, she probably wouldn't want some of her old pictures out there anyway.
No, that's the problem about social media. Those pictures live on forever.
Yes. All right, thank you so much, Carly.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Well, the time now is about 6 minutes until the top of the hour. And catering to criminals, the state sparking outrage for banning police from releasing mugshots. And country superstar Brad Paisley getting his hands a little dirty for those in need while he's trading in his cowboy hat for a construction helmet. Welcome back. Chick-fil-A getting an unlikely ally after getting banned from a New York airport. The ACLU, Buffalo's airport. Actually, the ACLU is defending them. Now, Buffalo's airport canceled plans to add the restaurant because it donates to conservative groups. The ACLU's New York affiliate says in a statement that government actors cannot officially silence speech or take punitive actions based on a person's or private entity's political viewpoints. Now, San Antonio's airport also banned Chick-fil-A. The company says it has no political agenda and does not discriminate. Well, mugshots now banned in New York. State police will stop releasing the photos after making arrests, and they'll only be released to police if police are searching for a suspect that has a past mugshot. Now, the change comes as part of Governor Andrew Cuomo's proposed budget. Some law enforcement agencies say they believe they can and will still release them legally. Well, now it's time for the good, the bad, and the ugly. Up first, the good. Brad Paisley breaking ground on a store that